Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're walking in Memphis. Topic of this Walking in Memphis, USWA from January 13th, 1990. Now this is an interesting period in USWA/CWA. It was technically still both. This was in the middle of the transition with them and World Class combining their talents. So there is still some CWA branding on the show. There's even video from Dallas from the Sportatorium that's played during the show. With that being said, if you haven't seen any of my shows before, I do grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. For Walking in Memphis, we do consider it per segment, so basically from commercial break to commercial break, everything that falls within there goes with that same rating. As always, if you want to watch the video that I'm reviewing here, it is going to be in the description if you want to pause this, watch that, and come back. Or if you don't care about spoilers from a 33-year-old show, you want to watch this before you determine whether you go there or not, that's cool too. All that being said, let's jump right into that. We start the show off with Superstar Bill Dundee going up against Keith Eric. This is your garden variety squash match. Nothing really special. Basically just here to show that Dundee is a star. Dundee does pick up the win here. I'm going to give this a 3. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything else other than that on that first segment. So the match itself I can't rate high, and there's nothing to spice it up. It just was bland. It's there. After that, our next segment we have Bill Dundee and Billy Travis, a video being shown of them fighting and going back and forth, which leads right into a promo with Bill Dundee in studio, who's talking about Billy Travis, and Billy Travis, who's on video talking about Bill Dundee. This is when Billy Travis went from being Billy Travis to Billy Joe Travis, which in my head, I always think of him as Billy Joe Travis. That's what sticks out to me. It's funny how oftentimes how you first see a wrestler is how you most remember them, especially with something as minor as that chain. That segment's followed up with a music video for Billy Joe Travis, basically set to some highlights to the tune of Elvis's Jailhouse Rock. I do like the fact that this video had the actual song here. A lot of times when we run upon these videos, the music's taken out, obviously for copyright reasons. I mean, Jailhouse Rock, iconic song. It's probably not one of my favorites by Elvis, but, you know, everybody knows it, and if you're doing a takeoff on Elvis, which you're making fun of Bill Dundee by doing, then yeah, use Jailhouse Rock. For that segment, the videos, the music video, I'm giving that a 4. We come back from break, we get another music video. This time it's Jerry the King Lawler, set to AC/DC's Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and this is basically to signify that Lawler has fully turned heel, and it's showing the crowd different times where he's cheated. I like this. I mean, it's an on-the-nose explanation, but it's a definite thing that's an explanation that's needed. Because of the way I review these Walking in Memphis shows at random and not in sequential order, it's almost like I'm a fan that's being brought in every time for the first time to watch a show. Now, yes, of course, I'm going to know certain wrestlers, certain gimmicks, certain feuds that I've seen in the past, but I get to take this as a new viewer would take it. A new viewer would see this and would automatically know where Jerry Lawler aligns. Pretty cool video. That's followed up with Jerry Lawler coming out with an old school cell phone. If you're not familiar, and kids, if you were born past like 1990, you probably don't remember these. They were the big brick phones like Paul Heyman used to have. For us older people, that it's really hard to explain just how big and weird they were. I guess the closest thing I could say is like this box of Kleenex here is basically what the size of the phone was, and they'd have to hold it to their head like this. I mean, it's probably about 3/4 of the size of this, but you would hold it to your head. It was ridiculous. Those were the first cell phones, and only really rich people would have them. I did find it interesting the people that he was on the phone with. First, it was Donald Trump. 33 years later, and Donald Trump is still in the zeitgeist, so obviously he was someone in that time frame that was popular, someone well known as being rich. Then he was also on the phone with Art Modell, which I found the funniest because I know for a fact, and he said it several times, I even say it here, that Jerry Lawler is a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan. And if you ask Cleveland Browns fans today who the most hated man in the history of the Cleveland Browns is, it's Art Modell, because Art Modell moved the Browns to Baltimore to become the Ravens, and then another team went back to Cleveland to become the Browns. So that was a funny little thing there. Then finally, he says he's talking to Christy Brinkley, the supermodel I believe she was the wife. She may still be the wife of Billy Joel. I don't really know. I haven't followed Christy Brinkley or Billy Joel's relationship statuses. I know she was in the Uptown Girl video and a bunch of other stuff. She was a gorgeous, gorgeous woman. From then on, Lawler basically joins commentary with Dave Brown. Lance Russell wasn't there. I don't know why. They never said why. There was, I know, a time where Lance Russell just wasn't on the show, and this may have been it. This could have been the time he was in WCW. I don't know really how that time frame holds up. If you do, put it down here in the comments. I think it was when he was in WCW, though. While he's there, as he's doing his promo, his two partners for later on in the show and in some matches that were hyped here come out. We get the Dirty White Boy and the Soul Taker. And if you're not familiar with the Soul Taker would go on to be Kama Mustafa, Papa Shango, aka the Godfather. And I've said it a million times, along with Dirty White Boy comes the Dirty White Girl. You know, you've heard me, if you watch these long enough, you've heard me profess how much I love seeing the Dirty White Girl. After that, we get a little bit of Lawler on his phone with a microphone going around ringside, and he makes fun of an old lady. Classic Lawler stuff here, all pretty good. Then we roll right into a match with Chris Champion, Dutch Mantel, and a very young Steve Austin, aka Stone Cold, with long flowing blonde hair, going up against TD Steele, the Medic, and Keith Robertson. This was, again, just another glorified squash match, nothing special. The three faces, Champion, Austin, and Mantel, they pick up the win rather easily. I'm giving this one a 3. I thought it was pretty good. Probably the best part about this was Lawler on commentary. For that whole segment, that was probably the best thing on here. Then we come back, our next segment, we have Steve Austin, Chris Champion, Dutch Mantel, are all back to do an interview. Jerry Lawler's still behind the announce desk while Dave Brown is interviewing them. We have the King Cobra comes out with Eddie Marlin, and King Cobra was a very short tenured wrestler in USWA who had gone back and forth with Lawler for the USWA Championship. King Cobra pays Steve Austin $1,000 to take his spot on their team for Monday night, which is kind of funny if you've read Steve Austin's book and how much he was struggling monetarily in Memphis. It's kind of funny that would be there, that was something they would say. This was all a pretty good segment, mostly for the interaction between Austin, Cobra, Lawler, and Dutch as well. The one thing I will say, there is some time here where Jerry Lawler very much toes the line of overtly being racist. He talks about welfare checks and government cheese here a bit. It doesn't really hold up very well, and I gotta put that disclaimer out there because it's in there. It is a sign of the times. If you were a heel, these are the kind of things you would say and do. Just like if there was an attractive wrestler, you would call him gay as an insult, or insinuate that they were gay as an insult. If there was a Hispanic wrestler, there was talk about tacos and burritos. A Chinese wrestler or Japanese wrestler, whatever they preferred them to be, there'd be a lot of Oriental type jokes. So it is a product of its time, but it still is uncomfortable. I do have to say the segment itself, pretty decent. I'm gonna give it a 3. Again, I do know that it's there, and it is unfortunate, but it was a good segment. That's followed up with a video basically showcasing Matt Bourne and Skandar Akbar's feud. We have Bourne versus Jeff Gaylord, which gets interrupted by P.Y. Chuhai, who's Phil Hickerson, Billy Travis, Gary Young at different points in different matches. Brian Lee and Robert Fuller even get in on the fun at some points. Cool little video showing that feud between Bourne and Akbar's crew. Devastation Incorporated is what they were called, because that's going to build to a match they're having in that upcoming Monday. And this was all stuff from the Dallas end of the show. After the video, we see a promo with Matt Bourne, who's wearing a neck brace because he was injured by P.Y. Chuhai. I thought this was really good. I like, again, how they highlight a feud that's coming into the territory. They give the face of the feud time to cut a promo, explain why he's mad, explain that he's going to get his revenge, a reason for you to come back. Matt Bourne was a fantastic promo guy. This is pre-Doink Matt Bourne, pre-Big Josh Matt Bourne. So this was really good. I'm giving that segment a 4. Next up, we have another 6-man tag match. This time, the other side of the 6-man for the Monday night show. We have Ben Jordan, Freezer Thompson, and I know, I gotta give a disclaimer here again. This is the guy's real name. From here out in the video, he's gonna be named Ken R. For purposes of giving his real name, Ken Raper. They're going up against the other side of the 6-man match the coming Monday, which would be King Cobra, Chris Champion, and Dutch Mantel. Their opponents for Monday are the opponents of Jordan, Thompson, and Ken R. That's going to be the Dirty White Boy, Jerry Lawler, and the Soul Taker. This was rough. I don't know what was going on here, but it just didn't end up being good. It was rather quick, another squash match, but even with that, it wasn't even up to the quality of some of the other squash matches here. The team of Dirty White Boy, Jerry Lawler, and the Soul Taker pick up the first win because it is going to be a 2 out of 3 fall stipulation. For that, I'm giving that a 2. It's kind of on the side of bad. After the break, we come back. We have Jerry Lawler doing some more crowd insults. We get another video, this time with Skandar Akbar, Billy Joe Travis, and Gary Young. Gary Young is in a feud with Dustin Rhodes at the time. They show them attacking Dustin. Then again, we get a solo interview with Dustin Rhodes, which I think is funny because Dustin Rhodes is in full-on Dusty Rhodes imitation here. And I realized it looking in the viewfinder that I'm wearing a Cody Rhodes shirt now, talking about the two of them, which is an homage to the old Dusty Rhodes shirt. He does what has to be a Dusty impression. He says funky like a monkey. He uses the inflection. He stopped short of talking about hard times and dining with kings and queens and eating in the alley with pork and beans. He did his Dusty, which was good. Dustin's Dusty impression is way better than mine, and I've been asked to do it before, and I haven't really done it on video because it's embarrassing how bad mine is. Here is my embarrassingly bad Dusty Rhodes impersonation for those who have asked for it before. Let's get funky like a monkey. And that's basically what I have. It's terrible. I know. I don't sound anything like it. But anyway. After that, we go back to the second fall of the 6-man tag match with Ben Jordan, Freezer Thompson, and Ken R. going up against the Dirty White Boy, Jerry Lawler, and the Soul Taker again. Again, same kind of thing, very clunky, very herky-jerky is a good word I guess you could say about it. Not great. Lawler, Dirty White Boy, and Soul Taker pick up the win. I'm giving it a 2 again. All in all, the show had some peaks and valleys. I feel like by the end of the show, I got a little bit burned out on the 6-man tag matches. There was technically 2, but really 3 different matches. I did think there was some good feud building going on in the show and some good promos here. The match quality was kind of subpar from what I'm used to. I'm gonna have to give this overall a 3. Thought it was good. I'd recommend watching it just because of some of the match building, and definitely to see a very young Steve Austin and see just how far he came from here. A very young Dustin Rhodes and how far he came. But other than that, it's there. If you want to watch it, I wouldn't say I recommend it. I don't necessarily not recommend it either. But go into it knowing it's not the greatest USWA show. It's not the worst. Like I said, it has very much some peaks and valleys. With that being said, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, let me know out of the 3 people that Lawler supposedly was on the phone with, Donald Trump, I probably should leave him out. Okay, let's leave out Trump, because he's polarizing, and I don't want to divide the comments between the people that love him and the people that hate him. I don't want that in my comment section. And this is probably going to be a landslide now. Who's your favorite person that Lawler talked to? Art Modell, or was it Christy Brinkley? And I know it'll probably be your landslide for Christy Brinkley, but go ahead and leave it anyway. Leave one of those 2 in the comments. If you made it to the end, smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. And if you see where it says join, that's how you become a channel member. It definitely would help me out. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and we've been walking in Memphis.